what it do. Let me hit you with something new. We're gonna talk about something mysterious. I'm gonna do this before I get the hell up out of here. I gotta run some errands and shit. Try to beat this fucking rain. It's kind of light raining, but excuse me. I'm trying to beat this heavy rain. So I'm gonna play this. Then I'm gonna head out. Then I'm gonna come back. Probably around like maybe like 1:30. We'll see what's popping. But this is the beginning of the HHN special stories. And we're going to talk about mirrors. What are mirrors really? You know what I'm saying? Like most of us just look in the mirror, do our hair, do our face, and brush our teeth and shit. Look all fresh in certain mirrors, and we look at mirrors all across the, city and the world. We walk past them all the time, and we kind of take them for granted. We really don't think nothing of it. But what really got me into mirrors, there was an episode of Doctor Who, and let's just say the doctor trapped a girl inside of a mirror for all eternity. Threw her father in a warp star, I think. Yeah, and the mother got, what the fuck happened? I think she got tossed to the warp star. I forgot what happened to the father. But the son, he turned the son into a scarecrow. He's like, all right, nigga, you want to live forever? You're gonna live forever in the fields of England. But anyway, I think it was called The Family of Blood or some shit like that. But it's a two-part episode. It's a great episode too. Great dialogue. But shout out to everybody. But we're about to talk about mirrors. What is a mirror to you? Because I always thought it was something on the other side of that mirror. Always thought. But let's go.
Mirror. You have been convinced your whole life that a mirror is just glass coated with silver. But this version crumbles into dust as soon as one compares the dates and the geography of production. How to explain the temperature and magnetic anomalies recorded by physicists in the 19th century near ancient mirrors? Why did these reports not enter scientific journals, but remained in private diaries? And who gave the unspoken order to destroy old mirrors during revolutions and wars under the guise of fighting the bourgeoisie? We have been imposed the opinion that our ancestors were afraid of their own reflection. But the documents speak otherwise. They were afraid of who looked at them from the other side. The main question is what function this global network served before it was deliberately taken down. Imagine that you wake up in the middle of the night in a large Victorian mansion. The first thing you see in the moonlight is a heavy velvet cover draped over a huge mirror against the wall, as if someone is trying to hide something forbidden, something that should not reflect in the dark. This is not a village tale. This is a strict ritual of educated people of the 19th century. It was performed with religious precision in every home, from London townhouses to St. Petersburg estates. The 19th century is an era of paradoxes. Technological progress coexisted with ancient fears. Gas lamps lit the streets, but in homes, shadows and anxious premonitions reigned. Mentally enter a typical house of the mid-century. High ceilings with intricate moldings. Massive mirrors in gilded frames reaching 3 meters in height. Crystal chandeliers with hundreds of pendants. Mirrors were everywhere. Above fireplaces, in hallways, in bedrooms, in living rooms. They cost a fortune. One mirror could equal the annual income of a wealthy family. Their production required technologies that even today raise questions among specialists. But every evening at dusk, a strange ritual began. The homeowners, their servants, governesses, and children all participated in the ceremony of closing the mirrors. Heavy fabrics were thrown over the mirror surfaces with the same care as when shutters were closed over windows before a storm. The question is simple. What made an entire civilization, which built transcontinental railroads and grand palaces, fear its own reflection after sunset? Open any book on etiquette from the mid-19th century. Find a chapter on mirrors. There will be an instruction. At dusk, all mirrored surfaces in the house must be covered with dense fabric. Not just draped for appearance, covered in such a way that no slits remain. Velvet, brocade, thick silk. And this was not done by dark peasants in cottages. This was done by engineers, doctors, university professors, industrialists, people who built locomotives and telegraph lines. Look further. This practice spread from America to Russia, from Scandinavia to the Mediterranean. The same rules in completely different cultures. No local superstition. It was a widespread tradition, carried out synchronously, as if everyone knew about the same danger. The most obvious
And
explanation.
that's crazy. Excuse me. Smoking some good weed right now. Wake and bake. But anyway, yeah. The whole world knew about the motherfucking tactics to motherfucking block the mirrors. And it's crazy. How does everybody around the world know?
Is church prescriptions, fear of unclean forces, superstitions about the souls of the deceased. It sounds logical, until you start digging deeper. In the archives of psychiatric hospitals in Paris, Vienna, and London, there are preserved medical histories of patients with the same symptoms. Doctors of that time referred to it as mirror madness. Here is a specific case. The year 1867, Edinburgh. The McGregor family, respected fabric merchants, moved into a new house on Princes Street, a majestic building of the Georgian era, with huge windows and wall-to-wall mirrors in the main living room. In 2 weeks, what the local press later called the case of the cursed mirror began. The youngest daughter of the family, 12-year-old Margaret, refused to sleep in her room. She claimed that the mirror in her bedroom shows another house at night. Parents attributed it to a child's fantasy, but after a week, adults began to notice the strangeness. The father of the family, James McGregor, wrote in his diary, he woke up in the middle of the night with the feeling that someone was watching. The mirror opposite the bed reflected not our bedroom, but some other room with different furniture, different walls. He saw it very clearly in the moonlight when he lit a candle. Everything returned to its place. The situation intensified. The maid fell into a hysteria upon seeing in the corridor mirror a woman in a white dress of an ancient cut. The woman looked at her and slowly raised her hand, as if trying to reach through the glass surface. The maid refused to return to that corridor, even during the day. The McGregors invited a priest, who performed the house blessing ceremony. This did not help. The mirrors continued to show what they were not supposed to show. Many will write in the comments now, mass hysteria, psychosis. Then, answer one question. How to explain that similar cases have been recorded all over Europe and America with frightening regularity? People in different countries, who had never heard of each other, described identical symptoms. And here begins the truly strange part. This was not a local problem of one family or one city. People in psychiatric hospitals claimed the same thing. They saw not their reflection in mirrors at night, but something else. Some described figures in ancient clothing. Others described landscapes of non-existent cities. Others spoke of faces that looked out from the depths of the mirror with unbearable sadness or malice. But the most horrifying thing is that some of these patients displayed unusual knowledge. They could describe the architectural details of buildings that no longer existed. They spoke about events that had not been recorded in the chronicles. They conversed in dialects of long-dead languages. Now let's rewind and take a look at the mirrors themselves. Not at the stories surrounding them, but at the technology of production. The weight of a large mirror could reach 300 kilograms. To lift such a structure and secure it on the wall, special mechanisms were required. The mirror itself is not just glass. It is a complex multi-layer object that had to be assembled with millimeter accuracy. Here's what is strange. How did the masters of that time create perfectly flat glass surfaces with an area of several square meters without modern equipment? Let's look at the process. First, it was necessary to blow or cast a glass sheet. At that time, the cylinder method was used. A huge glass cylinder was blown, then it was cut along and flattened on a hot table. The slightest unevenness in thickness, and the reflection is distorted. The smallest air bubble is a defect. Then the polishing process began. The surface needed to be polished to perfect smoothness. A deviation of more than a fraction of a millimeter per square meter meant the mirror was unsuitable. They polished by hand, using abrasive powders for months. Imagine the labor required to create a mirror with an area of 5 square meters. After polishing came amalgamation, the application of a reflective layer. Mercury, silver, tin, the most precise proportions. Too much mercury, the amalgam does not hold. Too little, the reflection is murky. The process took place in enclosed spaces. The masters breathed in mercury vapors, and many did not live to see 40 years. And here is the key point.
So the people that was working on these mirrors did not live past 40. Inhaling all that mercury, inhaling all that shit, putting their lives on the line.
Production required technologies that even today raise questions among specialists. In an era when there were no vacuum chambers, precision machines, and computer quality control, craftsmen created glass with such surface purity that it sometimes seemed as though you were not looking at your reflection, but into a parallel world. Where did these recipes come from? Who first created the formula for amalgam that gives such a perfect reflection? At first glance, it seems that the answer is simple. Just very skilled masters of their craft. And this sounds logical, until you ask modern glass manufacturers. Having access to advanced technologies, they confirm. Creating a perfectly flat surface of such an area requires vacuum chambers and precision equipment. So how did they do it in the 18th century without all of this? And now look at the geography of production. Mirrors were made in very specific places. Venice, the island of Murano, Bohemia, Russia. Not everywhere, but precisely there. And the secrets of production were guarded with maniacal ferocity. Venetian master glassmakers could not leave the island of Murano under the threat of the highest penalty. Read this again.
You couldn't even leave the island. The shit that you know, you can't go nowhere. That's no different from the government holding scientists at gunpoint. That's no different from that. You cannot leave this island because we don't want our secrets to get out on how these mirrors are made. Excuse me. Which led me down a theory. I think some Tartarians might still be alive, but they just in hiding and waiting for the old world to die out so they can come back and motherfucking build some better shit, I guess. I don't know. But I think they all got wiped out or they all left. I'm trying to go logical here.
The highest penalty for attempting to leave the island. The highest penalty for disclosing recipes. Documents of the Venetian Council of Ten, the secret police of the Republic, are filled with orders for the elimination of fugitive masters. 1553. 3 glassmakers who fled to Bohemia mysteriously disappear under strange circumstances. 1581. Master Angelo Barozzi tries to sell recipes to the French. Soon he is found in the canal with no signs of life.
Damn.
Transmission of knowledge only within families. The father teaches the son, the grandfather teaches the grandson.
Much love, LA. Yeah, I'm talking about mirrors. And there's a mysterious, there's a mysterious aspect about mirrors. And I'm glad I found this. I'm so fucking glad I found this because, like, shit, I want to find something new. You know what I'm saying? I'm covering a whole bunch of news, but it's like, it feels so good to just to listen to something new, you know? So, I'm talking about mirrors and how mirrors used to be covered up, and we're finding out the reason why it was covered up. Some people the fucking government said mirror madness or mass hysteria, but there was something to it in these areas of I think it said Vienna, Bohemia, Russia. It was like these places was building different type of mirrors, and what was going on was during I guess between the 13 or 15 1600s, you know, he gonna say the date again, but it was like at certain hours of the night when the moonlight hits the mirror, it turns your fucking, well, no, not your place. You will see something else through the mirror. So you're going to hear stories, and this was all documented, and people couldn't even leave the Venetian island with these secrets, or they was to be killed. Some nigga just got found in the canal. I think you just heard. Always been interesting to me. Jewish people, when someone dies, they sit for 7 days in the home, and they always cover the mirrors. Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, it's wild. And plus, what's crazy about this whole thing is it wasn't just one part of the world. It was all over the world that was covering up mirrors. So how do everybody know the same ritual shit with these mirrors if everything wasn't all one at one point in time? And it's leading to Tartaria too. You know, he gonna mention it. I'm so glad I came across this channel. I'm like, man, this is awesome. I always want to know about the mirror. And I said, like in the beginning, what made me more interested in mirrors was an episode of Doctor Who where the doctor trapped a little girl in the mirror. Now, the thing about it is she wasn't a little girl. She was a fucking evil alien in a little girl body. She was with a family. She was the daughter. And the son got turned into a scarecrow. I think the father got tossed into a warp star. And I think the mother got chained up in some unbreakable chains of a Time Lord or some shit. And then and the episodes of Doctor Who was called The Family of Blood. And it was something else. It was a two-parter. It was a great episode where the doctor had to lock his memories inside of a time watch, and his assistant Martha, she had to make sure that everything was all right. Like she had to pose as a maid, the doctor posed as a teacher and shit like that. It was crazy. It was an infiltration mission. But like at the end, when he got his memories back, you know, I'm like, all right, y'all evil motherfuckers want to live forever. I'm gonna make sure y'all do. Put the little girl in the mirror. So like if you ever see something looking at you from the side of your eye in the mirror, it was always the little girl. So I was like, oh man, the doctor is scantless. Because like there was like, he ain't put her in one mirror, he put her in all the mirrors. I was like, Doctor Who is the man. Shout out to Live and Learn. Um according to the studies, it was people seeing the past, people were seeing the future, and yes, some people was probably seeing another, like the portal shit. But they can't go through it. They can only interact through sign language, showing each other pictures. It's, oh my god, it's crazy. You about to hear this though. You about to hear it. You about to hear it. But yeah, it's a it's it it definitely has portal written all over it. It definitely have communication with the past and future. It was something about those mirrors. But they was talking about the stuff that they used to make it, and the people that was making it, they didn't live to see 40 years old. So whatever they was doing, whatever they was inhaling, it was some poisonous shit. You know, because they said mercury. So I was like, oh, yep, that nigga was inhaling mercury for over 10, 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, you would die before 40. Best believe that. And the ritual shit, you know, like that's what gets me. But the real question is, why go through all of that for the mirror? I think it is to I guess if people lost a loved one or something, you know, you can be able to see your loved ones again without going to heaven. but I think it got to be a portal. It's a form of communication because, you know, because everybody around the world had to cover up the mirror. But it's awesome. And plus, I love I came across this. I'm so glad. Oh, yeah. Mirror is a very great subject because it's part of that mysterious life cosmic factor. It's part of that factor. I like that, you know.
Recording is prohibited. Everything is in oral form, all through demonstration. If the family died out, the knowledge left with it. Other crafts, silk, weapons, ceramics, were also profitable. Venetian glass, Murano lace, Damascus steel. All of this was expensive, but their secrets were not guarded with such paranoid cruelty. Why mirrors specifically? If this is merely a protection of commercial secrets, why such a level of violence?
Right. Why such the level of fucking violence over a fucking secrets to how to make a mirror? Unless motherfuckers was doing some other shit. Now, when it comes to the evil people that will probably use the mirror, I think they're using the mirror to see in other people's homes or to walk through other people's homes or the communication with interdimensional entities. The only way to get here is through the mirror. You know, it's a lot of rabbit holes to go down when it comes to this, when it comes to what the diabolical motherfuckers are thinking about it. I call it spying on motherfuckers and breaking in people's houses. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Got no privacy. Oh, through a mirror.
Count for yourself. Over 1.5 centuries, more than 20 cases of the elimination of runaway masters have been documented. This is not business. This is the protection of state secrets of the highest category. Look at the maps of trade routes of Venice from the 15th to 16th centuries. Venice was a transit point between East and West. After the fall of Constantinople in 1453, a flow of artifacts and manuscripts surged into Venice. Entire libraries, technical...
Right, it's several many asses, I know. I can't wait to go further down the rabbit hole. I'm about to dive in. Oh.
Drawings, descriptions of technologies. The version is this. Venetian masters did not acquire the technology themselves. They were the guardians of knowledge that was inherited from the ruined cities of the East. Knowledge that belonged to a previous civilization. And their task was not to invent, but to preserve and reproduce what already existed. 1881. London antique dealer Thomas Wellborn purchased an ancient Venetian mirror at the auction of a bankrupt aristocrat's estate. The mirror was dated to the 15th century and was distinguished by extraordinary beauty. The frame was adorned with the
most... All right, so the guy in 1881, right, bought some shit from the, what it said, the 14th century, 15th century, 14th century. So that's the 1300s. Wait. It was the 14th century, it's the 1300s, right? And it was the 15th century, it's the 1400s, right? You know, I'm trying to get this right. I'm trying to remember like this on the shit. You say the 14th century is 1300s, 15th century, 14th. Okay, cool. Fuck it. Correct. Cool. Thank you. I have to make sure that's right. So the guy from the 1800s bought some shit from the 1300s.
Intricate carving. Not just a floral ornament. There were depicted astronomical symbols. Constellations.
Yeah, now he bought the mirror. The shit had symbols on it, astrological symbols, and some other shit. This motherfucker bought a Stargate. That nigga bought a Stargate mirror.
Planetary signs. Strange geometric patterns that formed complex schemes. Wellborn, being an educated man, tried to decipher these symbols, but could not find any explanation for them in any reference book. He hung a mirror in his study, a heavy frame made of black wood, covered with the patina of centuries. The mirror itself possessed an astonishing clarity of reflection. It seemed like one was looking not at the surface, but into the depth, into the space behind the glass. Wellborn soon began to notice oddities. According to his words recorded in letters to his antiquarian colleague, Edward Holmes, the mirror displayed the room as it once was. He saw different furniture, heavy oak wardrobes instead of his bookshelves, other books on the shelves, tomes and leather bindings with Latin inscriptions. Even the fireplace looked different, more massive, adorned with carvings. At first, Wellborn attributed it to fatigue, to the play of light. But the visions recurred, always at the same time, between 11 in the evening and 2 in the morning, always in the moonlight. The most astonishing event began on the night of the 15th of October, 1882. Wellborn was working late, sorting through catalogs of ancient manuscripts. He glanced at the mirror and froze. A man was reflected in the mirror. A middle-aged man, thin, with an ascetic face, dressed in clothing from the 15th century. He was sitting at a writing desk, the very same massive oak table that Wellborn had seen in his visions. And he was writing something with a goose quill. Wellborn turned around. There was no one behind him. He looked in the mirror again. The man continued to write, not paying attention. Then, as if feeling the gaze, he lifted his head and looked directly at Wellborn. Their gazes met. The man in the mirror was not frightened, did not disappear. He slowly stood up and approached the mirror surface from his side. Wellborn did the same. They stood facing each other, separated only by the glass surface and, perhaps, several centuries.
Man, that shit is deep. You wake up in the middle of the night and you see your mirror and you see someone sitting down writing. And then the person in the mirror feels the presence of someone watching them, gets up, walks slowly to the mirror. You walk slowly towards the mirror and you see the other person in another time. What's crazy is no one freaked the fuck out. All right. No one freaked out. No one's like, oh my God. Because they knew, I guess, the motherfucking 7 years of bad luck superstition was probably out around that time too. Don't break the mirror. You're going to get 7 years of bad luck. So I don't know when that shit started. I need to find out when the 7 year bad luck of breaking mirrors start. I wouldn't be surprised if it started around the same time. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it started around the 13, 14, or 1500s. Because there's something about mirrors that is so fucking mysterious. And motherfucker like, nigga, don't break it. Hey, man, cover that shit up. It's something up. It's something up. It is something up. For sure. Be right back. And just seeing it, just seeing another person in that mirror. But guess what happens though? Guess what happens though when they have this interaction? Because I was doing some thinking, because what's about to happen is going to be astounding. And then I'm gonna go into like what I thought about after the situation happened.
Wellborn began systematic observations, meticulously recording everything in a diary. The man in the mirror appeared almost every night. Gradually, a form of communication was established between them. With
ancient Romans, says Google. Okay, cool. So this was, damn. It goes back to the Romans of the breaking of the mirror. Wow. BC. Wow. Right. Right. Says Google. But this is ancient. So, damn. If it goes back to Roman, where did the Romans get it from? I think what's the origin of Romans? I think it was called Etruscans. I'm not sure. Roman order Greeks come from Etruscans. I'm not sure. I think so though. Damn, that shit go back that fucking far? Damn, how far can we go? When was the first mirror invented? And who created it? And what was his master? I'm about to dive in. Let's dive in this rabbit hole.
Gestures, with pointing movements, with drawings on paper that they showed to each other. A man from the past showed Wellborn manuscripts, ancient books. He pointed to certain places in the room, the places where objects were located in his 15th century. Following these directions, Wellborn began to explore his study.
Now, when he said that, here was my thought. I was like, if we had an ancient mirror right now from that time and we put it in our house, and depending on the time of the day, it say between 11 and 2 in the morning, then we could probably see how the old world looked. And in our crib, it might not even be nothing inside the mirror, but probably like a desert or maybe an old ancient house. Who knows? But man, the process with the mercury and a whole bunch of other, it's like, They had to have done a ritual on that shit. They had to put a spell on that fucking mirror in order to do this shit. Unless it's just they got this knowledge. It's hidden. It's hidden like a motherfucker. I won't be surprised if a mirror was a gateway to get the fuck out this realm of bullshit. But where we go, we're gonna be in another realm that probably have the same bullshit, but in the mirrored effect. Because if it goes back to the past and sometimes to the future, then are we fucked regardless? I don't know. Which leads back to this planet being a fucking prison. This is wild. But if I could go back in time through a mirror, I'm going to change a lot of shit around.
He tapped the
Very
walls,
interesting.
examined the floorboards,
Yep.
and he found it. Under one of the floor.
Gotta go homeschool, but love this topic. Hope you share what else you find. Oh, yes, I will. I will. Much love, Belly. Get your teaching on. Get your teaching on. Much love to Ellie. And make sure y'all subscribe to Ellie too. Because I know I give the HHNs and the Fuck the Government podcast, but Ellie can get the news too. And plus, she catch my blind spots. You know, like whenever I look over, she got it. You know what I'm saying? And then some. You know what I'm saying? So shouts out to everybody over there on Ellie's camp too. And much love to Ellie. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe and y'all get some good news too. You know, like she's not extreme as I am, but you'll get some good news, great vibe, and some great people in the chat. We can all chat. Holla. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is a very interesting topic.
Boards, right where the man from the mirror had pointed, was a hidden compartment. A metal box, sealed with wax, and bearing the imprint of an unfamiliar coat of arms. Inside were documents. Letters, diaries, diagrams. These were the papers of the previous owner of the house, who lived.
So the guy in the mirror told the guy to go to an area of his house, lift up a floorboard, and he found some old shit, technology shit that's like wild. But like I said, make sure y'all subscribe to Ellie. Make sure y'all subscribe to everybody. You want some good news? You know what I'm saying? You better holler at Ellie. You feel me? And shouts out to Live and Learn. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I think some people live. Shouts out to Charles. I think Charles live right now. Shouts out to Charles.
In the mid-15th century, one Roberto Fiorenzi, a Venetian merchant and apparently a member of some secret society. The documents contain descriptions of technologies that should not have existed at that time.
Technologies that should not have existed at that time. This is how I know these motherfuckers came across some tech and they took that shit. Some people took it and motherfucker kept creating shit until they motherfucker got clipped off. And the other ones took that and destroyed it. They like, no one should know about this. And he said it was part of some secret society. He didn't even say the motherfucking name of it. So it gotta be so fucking secret that he can't even say it or he can't pronounce it. But we all know that it's not Illuminati and it's not the Free fucking Masons and it's not no Rosicrucians either. Whoever the fuck did this, they come from ancient shit. It gotta be Tartaria. It gotta be Shalaga, one of those ancient spots. And they came across it. It's like we found it, just like these motherfucking Tartarian buildings talking about they made this miraculous structure in 2 years. Get the fuck out of here. And it take y'all 5 to 7 years to build a fucking rectangular box. The fuck out of here. 2 years to build a marvelous masterpiece, but 7 years to build a fucking rectangle. Kiss my ass. Y'all found all this shit. All this shit. They stumbled across all this shit. I'm looking at downtown Detroit and I'm picturing downtown Detroit without all the rectangular square buildings. And I'm looking at the Tartarian shit. And I'm like, man, this place is amazing. And I'm looking at all the other places across the country. And then I want y'all to do it too. Like, take away all the box buildings and keep those old ancient Tartarian buildings. You'll be like, man, this place was beautiful. And you can tell that the powers that shouldn't be is trying to cover up the Tartarian buildings with all these boxes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, what's really going on?
Schematics of devices for extracting energy from the atmosphere.
Wow. Schematics for extracting energy. Leads back to Tartarian building, saying that like these places were housing energy. These places were healing people. Or giving people motherfucking energy to keep going. Or some shit to power some motherfucking shit for free. You know, without motherfucking doing the electricity shit. You know, without paying a fucking bill. It's like we had the power, we had the technology.
Drawings of complex optical instruments. Formulas of amalgams with precise indications not only of the proportions of metals, but also of the astronomical conditions under which the process should be carried out. And a separate manuscript about mirrors, about the fact that they are not just household items, but tools. Tools for what? The text was damaged. Many pages were lost.
Tools for what? The text was damaged. Wow, how convenient. What is a mirror a tool for? It gotta be a tool for communication. And I'm leaning 80-20. I'm leaning 80-20 on that. 80% for the communication part, 20% it could be motherfucker used to get the fuck up out of here. Who knows? But best believe if a motherfucker just said a motherfucker told him the motherfucker could go to an area of the house, lift up the fucking floorboard because he left something there, and then he go there and he pick up some shit. That shit is amazing. I call that a form of communication. If it looked like a duck, talk like a duck, quack like a duck, what the fuck, right? This is a form of communication. Why is a mirror a fucking tool? Why? How come that you cannot put two mirrors together at certain points in time because it's going to create some type of magnetic field or some shit? How come in rituals you can't have a mirror placed in a certain area of your house? What the fuck is going on with mirrors? You feel me? It makes everybody ask the question. Shit. Y'all remember the movie Constantine? Y'all remember the movie Constantine? When Constantine had to go into the motherfucking exorcist shit and he had the mirror above the body and the demon had to go inside the mirror. Remember? Shit is fucking crazy.
But one phrase has been preserved completely. The mirror is a window between times, but it should be opened with the greatest caution.
Now, this was the quote. A mirror is between times.
Astronomical conditions under which her had pointed was a hidden compartment. A metal box, sealed with wax and bearing the imprint of an unfamiliar coat of arms. Inside were documents, letters, diaries, diagrams. These were the papers of the previous owner of the house, who lived in the mid-15th century. One Roberto Fiorenzi, a Venetian merchant and apparently a member of some secret society. The documents contain descriptions of technologies that should not have existed at that time. Schematics of devices for extracting energy from the atmosphere.
Wow.
Drawings of complex optical instruments. Formulas of amalgams with precise indications not only of the proportions of metals, but also of the astronomical conditions under which the process should be carried out. And a separate manuscript about mirrors, about the fact that they are not just household items, but tools. Tools for what? The text was damaged. Many pages were lost. But one phrase has been preserved completely.
Phrase.
The mirror is a window between times.
A window between time. Windows between time.
But it should be opened with the greatest caution.
But it should be open with the greatest caution. I am Time Lord victorious.
Let's return to the McGregor family. They invited a professor of natural philosophy from the University of Edinburgh. His name
Edinburgh
is James Maxwell Grant, a student of the famous physicist. The professor proposed to conduct an experiment to set up observation of mirrors using the latest equipment at that time. He brought with him photographic plates of special sensitivity, a magnetometer for measuring magnetic fields, thermometers with an accuracy of up to 1/10 of a degree. He set up an observation post right in the McGregor's house. The experiment was conducted over 7 consecutive nights. The professor took measurements every 15 minutes, recorded the readings of the instruments.
That motherfucker's a beast. Every 15 minutes, you a bad motherfucker. I would have did it every 10 minutes.
Noted the slightest changes. What he discovered made him refuse to publish the results.
Now, what he discovered made him refuse. I'm like, I can't put this shit out. I cannot put this shit out. And real shit. Yo, guess what he found out?
Officially, he announced that he had not found anything unusual, that the McGregor family had become a victim of mass hysteria. But in his private papers, found by his grandson 60 years after his passing,
60 years later, grandson comes across his work.
There was a completely different record. Take these measurements. The mirror surface at certain hours of the night, from 11 in the evening to 2 in the morning, demonstrated properties that are inconsistent with known laws of optics. First, the reflection was delayed. The professor used a method with a quick hand movement in front of the mirror and fixation on a photographic plate. A normal reflection should be instantaneous, but measurements showed a delay of 3 to 7 hundredths of a second.
3 to 7 hundredths of a second. There was a delay. Ooh, man. You see some shit like that in real life, it'll blow your fucking mind.
As if light traveled not 2 meters to the mirror and back, but a much greater distance. Second, temperature anomaly. Within a radius of 1.5 meters from the mirror, the temperature dropped by 2 to 3 degrees without visible reasons.
Now that is crazy. Now we can watch the episode or any episode of Supernatural where they're trying to fight ghosts. When that temperature drop, something is in that fucking room with you.
No drafts, no open windows. Thermodynamics was disrupted right before our eyes.
Now thermodynamics, yes. Disrupted, yes. Motherfuckers doing full study on this every 15 minutes and shit.
Third, and the most strange, the mirror emitted. In complete darkness, without any light sources, the mirror surface emitted a faint glow. Invisible to—
Now that is scary. In the darkness, the mirror emits a faint glow. Motherfuckers might wake up and see a face in that motherfucker.
the eye, but detectable by photographic plates with long exposure.
Now it can be seen by photographic plates with long exposure. So you can't see it, but the exposure of the camera at that time can catch it.
The professor received 6 photographs, all showing a blurred white glow emanating from the mirror. Fourth, magnetic anomalies. The needle of the magnetometer, placed near the mirror, deviated without visible reasons, sometimes by 5 degrees, sometimes by 10 degrees. The fluctuations occurred in waves, with a periodicity of approximately every 3 minutes. The professor wrote in his diary, "The mirrored surface behaves as if it is not a passive reflector of light, but an active device of unknown principle of action. The results contradict everything we know about the properties of glass and metals. The publication of this data will destroy the foundations of physics."
Yep. And this is why he could not publish it. Because it go against every fucking thing that we've ever fucking studied and put out to the people and all the shit that we ever learned. It shatters everything. I cannot put this out there. This will destroy the whole scientific and knowledge community. What I've just stumbled across is some shit that is beyond our fucking train of thought and what the fuck we have learned. What we stumbled across, no one should know. Unless it's fully studied. And even then, this shit might scare every fucking body. We're going to have to change school curriculums because of this. This would shatter a whole fucking nation. If you like a motherfucker like thinking long term, a motherfucker like thinking future, yeah, I see why he didn't put it out. But at the same time, another reason why you can't put it out because you might get killed. Because motherfucker be like, how the fuck a nigga come across this knowledge? I thought this shit's supposed to be within the family type of shit. This shit can't get out. Somebody gonna die.
I cannot allow myself this. I advise the McGregor family to cover all mirrors and never open them. Professor of the university. A scientist trained in a strict method conducts measurements according to all the rules, obtains results that do not fit into the existing picture of the world, and does the only thing he can, hides these results. Why? Because to recognize them means to revise all of physics, to acknowledge that mirrors operate by laws that go beyond known science, that behind the glass surface lies something much more complex. And now look at the rules for placing mirrors that existed at that time. Never opposite the front door. Never two mirrors facing each other, creating an infinite corridor of reflections. It was said that such corridors open passages between worlds, that one can become lost in them with one's soul, that there are beings that wait for someone to carelessly look too deeply. Now many will say,
now that was the scary one. There's beings waiting for you to look into the mirror deeply. And I think there's certain rituals called the 4 kings or some shit. You put up like 4 chairs and you put mirrors in those chairs and you do some type of ritual, some shit. I'm not really sure, man, but pause. There's a lot of rituals with mirrors, which goes back to explaining it being a fucking tool and not just an accessory to be in a house. Mirrors are very fucking mysterious, and we're all leading to, it's, I mean, well, according to the research, it's a mirror between motherfucking, the fucking past or the future. And some people are just looking at you, waiting for you to be like, come on in.
just superstition. Then answer one question. Why are these rules identical in different cultures? And why did they appear before mirrors became a mass commodity? Compare these rules with the principles of placing radio antennas. Two transmitters located opposite each other create a resonant circuit. This amplifies the signal, opening the channel. Engineering logic. If a mirror works as a receiver, then 2 mirrors are an amplifier. The rules for placing mirrors are not superstitions. They are safety techniques when working with unfamiliar equipment. The mirror makers of that time knew special prayers and spells that they recited while crafting mirrors, as if trying to bind the dangerous technology with the safe shackles of faith and ritual. Some families kept mirrors that were passed down from generation to generation, but they kept them constantly covered. They were only unveiled on special occasions and only in daylight, as if they were not household items, but dangerous artifacts requiring special handling. At the same time as the tradition of covering mirrors in the 19th century, the practice of spiritual seances developed. Mediums used mirrors as tools for contact with the other world. They claimed that they could summon spirits, and that one could see the future or the past by looking into the mirror's surface in a certain way by candlelight.
See, future and the past.
Skeptics explain this as tricks and charlatanism, but some cases did not succumb to simple exposure. Sessions were documented where scientists, lawyers, journalists were present, educated and skeptical people, and nevertheless, they testified to the incredible. They saw the faces of people in mirrors whom the mediums could not know. They received information that was later confirmed by archival documents. They observed physical phenomena that had no rational explanation. Check the protocols of these sessions. The level of detail is astonishing. The descriptions are so specific that they could be verified, and they were confirmed. Skeptics explained everything as charlatanism and deception. It sounds reasonable, but then where did the information come from that the medium could not physically know?
Right.
Some cases could not be debunked even by professional skeptics who were specifically invited to the sessions for verification. Perhaps the mediums accidentally or intentionally activated those very properties of mirrors that ordinary people feared. Certain rituals, candles, placement. This is not mysticism. This is tuning. Creating certain...
This is tuning. For those who know about tuning, look it up.
Conditions for activation. Candles create heat. Heat causes air convection. Convection changes the optical properties of the medium. But perhaps it's not only about this. Perhaps candles were needed for something deeper, to create a certain energy field, certain frequencies. In the archives of the French Academy of Sciences.
Because I do candlelight meditation. Candlelight meditation is like it's like an old Chinese meditation where you just look at the candle, and then eventually you can control the flame of the candle. But the whole goal is to become as still as the flame. And when you are in sync with the flame, you can be able to move the flame. It is fucking awesome. I tell you, it's fucking awesome.
There is a report from the year 1873. A group of researchers describes the phenomenon of mirror operation, a phenomenon where mirrors in the dark begin to reflect not the current reality, but temporal impressions of the past. They proposed a hypothesis. Mirror amalgam is capable of preserving light impressions similar to a photographic plate, and under certain conditions, these impressions manifest, superimposing on the current reflection. But this explanation did not take into account the main thing. People saw not frozen images of the past, but moving figures that were aware of the observer's presence and reacted to it. This was not a reproduction of a recording.
Right. So what the fuck is going on in that mirror? For example, if we had a mirror right now, 2026, right? If we had one of these ancient ass mirrors in 2026 and we see some shit in the past going back to 2007, nigga nodding his head to a Jeezy song. You know, because it's the past. So it's like, you know, I wonder what time frame it'll put us in. You know what I'm saying? It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. Or maybe it'll go back to the time of the creators of the shit. So we also got to look at this. The motherfucker that's in that mirror is dead. Dead. Long gone. So why is your past self alive inside of a mirror? On the other side of that mirror, that man is alive, but in the future, he's dead as a doornail. Which leads me to a question. This is for the Christian question, though. Does heaven and hell really exist? Where do our souls really truly go? Mind you, they say they saw the past. This man is in the past. The man can get up and see them and interact. Where do our souls go? Does it go back in the mirror? Is reincarnation even real at all? We don't know. But what we do know is this. What we do know is that mirrors are more mysterious than we thought. The mirrors that we have now, I don't think we can go through what these people went through because the people died with those secrets. But I wouldn't be surprised if them secrets are still out there.
This was a contact.
But you would not want to make it because the people that was making these type of mirrors, they didn't even make it to the age of 40. Like inhaling all that mercury, doing all that, man, shit, they ain't make it to the age of 40. So it's another reason why it's best to not try to make this shit again.
Of the 19th century, mass production of mirrors using simplified technologies.
Yeah, Christianity ain't deep enough to ask those questions. Right.
Began. Glass became cheaper, the silvering process accelerated, and mirrors transformed from luxury items into ordinary goods. And it is precisely then that strange phenomena begin to fade. New mirrors, produced industrially, no longer possessed the mysterious properties that distinguished the old Venetian, Flemish, or Russian handcrafted mirrors. It seems that, along with the simplification of technology, some important component was lost. Perhaps certain proportions of metals in the amalgam, special conditions of production, knowledge that was passed down orally and not recorded, or new mirrors were intentionally made safe, deprived of those qualities that made old mirrors dangerous portals. Mass production has standardized not only the technology, but also the result. Modern mirrors reflect only the current reality. They are dead in the sense that old mirrors were alive. There is interesting statistics.
And that is fucking deep. It's like the new mirrors are dead. The old mirrors was alive. Saying shit like that, like, God damn. But due to, let's just say, ritual, strong affirmation and intention, people still do rituals with mirrors. And I've been in the old houses, used to help people move back in the day, and people used to have old antique mirrors. And always felt weird every time I carried it. Maybe they probably still out there, man, but in the smallest forms. I wouldn't be surprised it's being sold on the black market. Old, ancient ass mirrors and shit. But it was a tool. Now it's come out. What the fuck is that word? Now it's everywhere. But you know, but still though, there was cases online right now. Shit. I think I saw a video of a Chinese kid or some shit. He was playing with his parents and he turned his head, but the mirror didn't turn his head until maybe like less than a second later or some shit. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Number of mental disorders related to mirrors sharply decreased in the
Yep, they were labeled all as satanic. Yep, spookism. Yep. Get this mirror out of my house. It got a demon in it. It's a demon.
early 20th century. Mirror madness. Mirror melancholy. Cases of possession after prolonged contemplation of mirrors. These diagnoses have virtually disappeared from medical reports. Coincidence? Or a direct consequence of the fact that old mirrors were gradually replaced by new, safe ones? Many ancient mirrors were deliberately destroyed during the wars and revolutions of the early 20th century. They were smashed as symbols of the old world, as luxury items of the bourgeoisie. But perhaps this was a targeted destruction of dangerous artifacts that could reveal too much about the past. To show what should not be seen, look at the statistics. How many pre-war mirrors have survived? A few. And where are the others? Is it a coincidence that it was the old mirrors, made using ancient technologies, that were destroyed? They did not touch the new mirrors. They only destroyed the old ones.
Now that is deep. Destroy the old mirrors, leave the new ones up? Oh, it's something up with that. It's like burning down the halls of Alexandria type shit. Destroy all this motherfucking knowledge. All this shit gotta go.
As if they knew that the danger was precisely in them. Revolutions and wars have always served as a convenient excuse for erasing uncomfortable traces. How libraries were destroyed. How the buildings of world exhibitions were demolished.
Yeah, the motherfucking the World's Fair and shit, where they showed all the old technology of the motherfucking time that we could be using right now, some free energy type shit. Nah, they showed us how the old world was and just burnt down everything. God damn.
First floors of cities were buried. Every time under a noble pretext. Every time systematically. Today, we are surrounded by mirrors. Bathrooms, hallways, elevators, shop.
Yeah, that what the guy just said, but shouts out to Beardy. Yeah, the fucking guy just said it, but the guy went back all the way of like how the motherfucker these ancient mirrors was created, how motherfuckers was dying before the age of 40 creating these motherfucking mirrors. And plus it was locked within the family through oral tradition, no recording. And like if anybody left the island, they was to be killed. Like, damn. But there was a story of a man that like he saw another man in the mirror and he showed him where to go to in this house. And he lifted up some shit and found some old schematics and shit. It was like, oh shit. And then like when he studied, he was like, man, I can't let nobody know what's going on with mirrors. It was a connection to the fucking past. You know, it was like a motherfucking portal to the fucking past. And he couldn't motherfucking put the shit out there because it would disrupt all of physics and in the science world. It'll fuck everything up. Everybody would have to motherfucker change curriculums and lives, motherfucker like lifestyle choices on this shit. So, and it was also talking about how everybody around the world had to cover up their mirrors at a certain time between the hours of 11 and 2 o'clock in the morning. And they was like, how do countries around the world know to do this if no one ever met each other? What the fuck is up with mirrors? So we found out like mirrors was not just some shit to keep in the house. It was a fucking tool. So going down a rabbit hole, like what the fuck was it a tool for? This motherfucker just contacted with motherfuckers from the past. And then fast forward to what we just heard now, like when the revolutions and the wars was coming, they was coming to destroy all that old ancient shit. But you know, like when they was coming to destroy the mirrors, they only destroyed the old ancient ones that had the power for us to connect to the past or do that portal shit, but they kept the new mirrors up. So I was like, But going back to the portal talk, there's still people doing rituals right now. I think it's one called the Four Kings and shit, with the 4 chairs and the 4 mirrors, and you'll do the little motherfucking seance ritual shit. Yeah, you're right. That's how you do it. But you know, it's spookier than everybody else. Yeah, you can go forward or go back other present time. Yeah, that's what they were saying in the motherfucking video. It was like, yeah, you can go to the past and the fucking future. So I'm like, shit, this is motherfucking awesome. I see why motherfuckers can put this shit out, because it said it would destroy the fabric of all of physics, because he did the motherfucking they say the light emanates from these mirrors, the motherfucking electromagnetic field fucking changes, the temperature drops like every 3 minutes. Like, it was a lot of stuff. He was like, man, I cannot put this shit out.
Windows. The screens of our phones and computers are also a kind of mirrors, reflecting and distorting reality. We look into them constantly, without thinking, without fear. The tradition of covering mirrors has turned into a vague superstition, a scary tale for children, a plot for horror films. We laugh at the fears of our ancestors, considering them ignorant and superstitious. But sometimes, in the quiet moments late at night, when you are alone in a dark room.
Yeah. And plus it's awesome. And plus, what's cool about it is this: your family members will never die. And I think this is why only a certain families that was creating these type of mirrors had these mirrors. It's like, shit, okay, Pops died last week, but we can see that nigga tonight between the hours of 11 and 2. So, you know, they put the mirror up in the house and they get to see their loved ones. And you know, and but it's the process of making the shit that got me. It was like, damn, niggas don't make it to the age of 40. And you know, and when he said all the chemicals, I forgot all the other chemicals they said, but like mercury was in it. So I'm like, yeah, you inhaling mercury for over 30 fucking years, you be dead before 40 for sure. No one can leave the island. No one. This is like protecting trade state secrets and shit. You can't leave. You cannot go nowhere. One nigga tried to leave, they found that nigga in a canal. That was like, damn. And it says only 20 master mirror masters was documented fucking dead for trying to leave. So it's like, okay, niggas ain't going nowhere.
See your reflection in an unexpected place. This ancient feeling arises, a primal fear that comes from the depths of the ages. A reminder that mirrors are not just glass and metal. Modern mirrors are safe, but they are also useless. We have not only forgotten the danger, we have lost the tool. Old mirrors were windows to other times, to other realities. New mirrors are just dead glass. And now let's gather all the threads together. Venetian mirrors with astronomical symbols on the frames. Look closely at the preserved examples in museums. Geometric patterns are arranged into diagrams. Planetary signs are positioned in a specific order, corresponding to the position of the celestial bodies on specific dates. Why such precision if this is just decor? Amalgam was created using complex formulas, an alloy of silver, mercury, and other components in precisely calibrated proportions produced a surface with special properties. It reflected not just light, it interacted with something greater. The rules of placement look like an instruction for installing equipment. A mirror cannot be placed opposite a door. It creates an unwanted channel. Two mirrors facing each other are prohibited. A resonating circuit, an amplifier, is formed. Is it a coincidence that these rules are identical to the principles of antenna placement?
Yep.
Mirrors were a part of a global technological system. Like cathedrals with domes, like star fortresses, they were nodes of a network that encompassed the entire planet. Imagine such a system. Cathedrals with their tall spires and copper domes captured atmospheric electricity. Fortresses shaped like stars distributed this energy throughout the territory. And mirrors functioned as nodes of an information network. They did not transmit energy, they transmitted information. Reflected light is a coded signal. The amalgam preserved imprints not just of light, but of the information contained within that light. Certain proportions of metals created a memory effect, similar to modern magnetic media, but operating on a different principle. Two mirrors, installed correctly, could create a communication channel between remote points, not a mystical portal, a technological data transmission channel. Through resonance, through certain frequencies of light waves, astronomical symbols on the frames indicated not mysticism, but the necessity of synchronization with cosmic cycles. The position of the planets influences the Earth's magnetic field and atmospheric electricity. For the system to operate, precise tuning to these cycles was required. After the cataclysm of the 19th century, the physical conditions on the planet changed. It is possible that the density of the atmosphere changed. It is possible that the magnetic field weakened. It is possible that the balance in the ionosphere was disrupted. Ether, what was referred to as atmospheric electricity, free energy, became unavailable or significantly weakened. The mirrors began to malfunction. They continued to work, but incorrectly. Instead of relaying current information, they were issuing fragments of old records. People saw residual signals from the past, images preserved in amalgam decades or centuries ago. Those who stared into mirrors for a long time and regularly began to catch these signals. Hence the mirror madness. It is not a mental disorder in the usual sense. It is an overload of the consciousness with information from another time, information that the brain cannot process correctly. Some people turned out to be more sensitive. Mediums possibly had the ability to tune into these frequencies. Their sessions with mirrors were not magic, but the use of remnants of technology, the principle of which they understood intuitively. Old mirrors held records of a previous civilization. In their amalgam, There were impressions not only of images, but also of knowledge. Technical schemes that someone once contemplated before the mirror. Maps of territories. Faces of people who lived in that world. These mirrors were not mystically dangerous. They were informationally dangerous. They could show the truth about what existed before the catastrophe. About a civilization that possessed technologies based on completely different principles.
And that will shatter everything. The people can't know the truth. Destroy it all. Bury the rest. Give the other to the Vatican.
That is why a decision was made to simplify the technology. At the end of the 19th century, the mass production of mirrors shifted to new methods. Chemical silvering instead of amalgamation. Simplified formulas. Standardized processes. The new mirrors reflected only the current reality. They were dead in the sense that the old mirrors were alive, capable of preserving and, under certain conditions, reproducing information. Mental disorders associated with mirrors have sharply declined, not because people have become more educated or less superstitious, but because dangerous equipment has been replaced with safe alternatives. Overlay the maps of old mirror manufactories with the maps of star fortresses. The matches are too precise to be a coincidence. Production concentrated in certain locations. Venice, Bohemia, Russia. Not where the resources were, but in places of ancient nodes. Correlate the dates. Manufactories opened precisely at the sites where for centuries prior, the largest temple complexes and fortifications stood. Historians usually say that there were ideal conditions for production. Sand of the right quality, access to fuel. But then, why did production cease synchronously, exactly when wars and revolutions began? Is it a coincidence that old technologies were forgotten simultaneously in all these places? Tartaria, or whatever else you call it, is a civilization that worked with a different physics. They used ether, atmospheric electricity, and resonances. Their technologies seemed like magic to those who came later. Cathedrals captured energy from the atmosphere. Fortresses distributed it across the territory, and mirrors transmitted information. After the fall of this civilization, equipment was left without instructions. 19th century people faced artifacts they did not understand, hence the fear. Hence the tradition of closing off. It was an attempt to protect themselves from something that operated by unknown rules. And when the old mirrors began to malfunction en masse, showing fragments of the past and causing mental disorders, a quiet cleansing began. Many antique mirrors were intentionally destroyed in the early 20th century. They were shattered under the pretext of wars and revolutions, as symbols of the old world, as items of bourgeois luxury. But they were destroyed selectively. The new mirrors were left untouched. Only the old ones, made using ancient technologies. The tradition of closing mirrors is the last echo of memory about the previous catastrophe. The last warning we received from those who survived the fall of the previous world. A warning that some technologies are dangerous, that some knowledge is better left forgotten, that some doors are better kept closed. The people of the 19th century were the last generation to still maintain a living connection with that memory. They lived at the intersection of worlds, the old and the new, the traditional and the industrial, the mystical and the rational. They saw contradictions that we no longer notice. They felt dangers that have become invisible to us. And when they covered the mirrors at night, they protected not only themselves, but also future generations. From the temptation to look where one should not look. From the desire to remember what is better forgotten. From the temptation to open doors that had been closed for very good reasons. Some secrets are likely meant to remain secrets. Some mirrors are better kept covered. And the reflections of the past should not be allowed into the present. Not out of superstition, but out of caution. We do not know what exactly we will see if we open these windows, and whether we will be able to close them again. We live in an illusion of understanding and control. But beneath this illusion lies an abyss of the unknown. The mirrors of the 19th century were windows into this abyss. Windows that our ancestors wisely preferred to keep closed, not because they feared ghosts, but because they knew some technologies require understanding that we no longer possess. And without this understanding, They turn not into tools, but into threats. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit.
And that is HHN Special Stories. What is mirrors really? Now I got to get ready to go ahead out, run this quick errand, then I'm going to come back around maybe like 1:20, 1:30 to do an HHN special report. But I wanted to get this out the way because I found it to be very fucking interesting. And shouts out to Beard, and I'm glad you well versed in this shit too. You know, I'm glad I'm not feeling like I'm crazy. I'm going crazy. Mirror madness. He's got mirror madness. He's been looking in the mirror too long. But to end the conclusion, there are mirror rituals that people still do to this day. Some use it as a game. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Yep. And I think one called the Four Kings. And I think if you go to like a medium or something, they might use a couple mirrors and shit. Because real shit, in the words of Captain Planet, the power is yours. You can activate a dead mirror. You can activate a dead mirror. It depends on how you do say it in the comments. Depends on how you look at it, how you use it. You know, the thing about it is, if you don't understand it, don't fuck with it. But if you're gonna dive in this rabbit hole, dive in. You better motherfucker do some research, do some motherfucker due diligence, and most importantly, have courage and have no fear. The underdog is here. I don't know why I thought about that. And then you can go through with a with a good level head. But otherwise, you're gonna go on that bitch and come out with mirror madness. But anyway, shout out to everybody. I'm gonna catch y'all in a minute. Shouts out to Bearded. Shouts out to Stephen Kev brothers. Much love, Ellie. Make sure y'all subscribe to Ellie to get some more news. She be catching my blind spots. And plus, it's rapid fire. And like, plus she put the links in the comments too, so you can able to go to the link and check it out. So shouts out to Ellie for that. Yep. You already know what it is. But I'll be back around like 1:20, 1:30. I just got to hit this errand up real quick. The motherfucker pay this motherfucking light bill and shit. And I got to, like work is motherfucking short. So you know what I'm saying? I'm a hustler, baby. Got to get my hustle on real quick. You know what I'm saying? Make this move. Pay this fucking light bill so I could be like, yeah, we survived another month. Fuck this cold ass weather. And fuck them data centers raising our bill too. They think I don't know because I already put it out there. The fucking data centers raising our light bill too. So it's like shit. But here's the rules to keeping your light bill low. If you in the room and you got your light on, okay, cool. But all other rooms, lights must be off, okay? That's rule number 1. And when you leave, make sure you turn off everything and unplug everything, okay? That's rule number 2, all right? Yeah, you think keeping your shit plugged in? No. Unplug that shit, all right? Rule number 3, don't let nobody move in with you. All right. Rule number 1, keep your lights off in every room if you're not in them. If you're in one room, you don't need your fucking light on in another room. You're not in it. All right. It's wasting energy. Rule number 2, like I said again, unplug everything when you leave. Turn off everything, unplug everything. Make sure everything is off. Make sure there's no drips in the sinks, in the bathroom, in the kitchen. Also, you know what I'm saying? Close your cabinets. And rule number 3, don't let nobody move in with you. Especially if they stay up all night, light on, music on, bang and shit. Lights on. They fucking keep the bathroom light on and shit. Like, yo, man, turn all them lights out. Lights out at 8:30. But like if somebody really need help, I help them out, but like still like lay down the ground rules. But fuck it, I'd be like, yo, dog, you got to stay in the garage, bro. I got a generator. and a nice kerosene heater for you, bruh. I got the carpet laid down. I gonna put no cars in the garage. The whole garage is yours. I'm gonna do your ass like my wife and kids did. But like he had to pull up to the car now. That nigga's on my wife. Man, the fucking son stayed in the garage. That nigga had to wake up to a pull up. Oh, nigga, tell me I'm lying. You was like, nigga, that's rule number one, nigga. Don't let nobody stay with you. But the other rule is still kind of 2 or 3, though. Yeah, just switch the rules around. You can switch the rules around. You know what I'm saying? Just you and your girl, nobody else. Either you by yourself or you and your girl. That's it. That is it. Somebody come in, yo, man. Nah, bruh. Same for the ladies. The fucking ladies be like, you better have no hair in my sink. The only hair to be in my sink is mine. Shit. Just man and woman until the kid come. That's the extra person that should be in the crib. It's the kid. You know what I'm saying? When the kid get a certain age, you be like, all right, nigga, lights out at 8. Yes. You can play your Game Boy. You got the little flashlight on it and shit. But you better be asleep before 9:30 or 10. I'm gonna come in there and whoop your ass. But anyway, man, shout out to everybody, man. I hope everybody have a cool Friday. It's Friday, high day. About to go out here and make this move, pay these bills, come back and holler at my UK correspondent, Vonza. Then we're going to get ready for this HHN special report. Shouts out to everybody. Catch y'all in a minute. And y'all already know how we end the special stories. Hold on, wait a minute. I know I usually rap it, man, but I want to motherfucking say it, man. But like, goddamn, this shit going to take forever to load up. But so fuck it. We'll just play a track and we'll get up out of here. Where is that? It's right. Wait a minute. There you go. You ain't ready. Salute Jordan. Yep. Oh, but I paid somebody to get up out of here. Damn, you late. Don't worry, but I'm coming back around like 1:20, 1:30. I gotta shoot this move.
But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for.
That's why I popped up early.
Gun you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass blade you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass bomb you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. You ain't motherfucking ready, ho. They hit you with some shit you ain't ready for.
I'll be back.
Got a big ass gun you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass blade you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass bomb you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. You ain't motherfucking ready, ho.
Hey.
But they hit you with something you ain't ready for. 4-4, take it down, about to let it go. Take it down, now your brains all on the floor. Everybody get down on the fucking floor. Get the money, get the running out the fucking door. Get the whip, gotta deal, we gotta go. Eliminate every enemy on the boat. Sniper, rifle, gotta let them know. Exterminate, catching too many bodies. You and your girl caught you doing Pilates. So you drive a Bugatti, I got a laser weapon. And I want a motherfucker know what they can do to your body. And caught a coup to the lava, we use a frequency weapons to teach a lesson. I'm the one that's gonna bring out spaghetti. A demon level element. Better growth and development. The revolution here, we gotta stay relevant. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass gun you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for.
I think it's something with the Gmail or some shit.
You ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass bomb you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Motherfuckers ain't ready, ho.
I think it's something with the Gmail. I gotta look at the YouTube tutorial again.
You ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass blade you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass bomb you ain't ready for. But they hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. You motherfuckers ain't ready, ho. But I hit you with something you ain't ready for. 4 color point bullets that'll take a soul. Soul flying out the body while you shake it. Roll. Full of different bag of weed, gotta fucking smoke. Smoking with a bad chick while we load up. Up the mag when we motherfucking show up. Up in it when I'm getting up in haircuts. We got a bunch of money, I gave her haircut. Cut the fans, catching too many bodies. bodies. You and the cops gonna cry to your mommy. I don't fuck with the folly. If anybody gonna be talking about me, I murder you, then I bury the body. You think that shit is a hobby? I got a weapon split over your body. You better run, cause sick of the body. Somebody stop me, but you cannot deny me. The revolution is here, and I bought a fucking gun in the park. Killing everybody. About to hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass gun you ain't ready for. About to hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass blade you ain't ready for. About to hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass bombs you ain't ready for. About to hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. You motherfuckers ain't ready, ho. About to hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass gun you ain't ready for. About to hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass blade you ain't ready for. About to hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. Got a big ass bomb you ain't ready for. About to hit you with some shit you ain't ready for. You motherfuckers ain't ready, ho.
All right, I'll catch y'all in a minute. Salute, Jordan. I'll be back around like 1:20 or 1:30. And we're gonna do an HHN special report. But of this, just watch the playback. I was talking about mirrors. What are they really? Shouts out to everybody. Catch y'all in a minute. Peace.